Hello! What's up? Once again, it's your El Maestro at nagbabalik na naman tayo ngayon para sa isa na namang informative video. Bago tayo magsimula ay nais ko muna kayong batiin ng isang magandang araw. Kung bago ka lang sa aking channel, wag mong kakalimutang mag-like, mag-comment, mag-share, at mag-subscribe sa aking YouTube channel at hit mo na rin ang notification bell para ma-notify kayo sa lahat ng mga bagong videos na aking i-upload sa mga susunod na araw. Ang video natin ngayon mga kamaestro ay tungkol sa frequently asked questions regarding the interim guidelines on the preparation, submission, and checking of school forms for the school year 2020-2021. So wag na natin patagalin pa. Tara, umpisahan na natin! Araw muli sa inyong lahat mga kamaestro. So dito nga sa video natin ay tatalakayin natin ang ilang mga katanungan, mga frequently asked questions tungkol sa DepEd Memorandum No. 14 Series of 2021 or the interim guidelines on the preparation, submission, and checking of school forms for the school year 2020-2021. So let's move on to the first question. Will the same guidelines be applied for the next school year? Ito raw po bang guidelines na pinalabas ng ating DepEd ay gagamitin pa rin ba ito next school year 2021-2022? No. DepEd Memorandum No. 14 Series of 2021 shall only be applicable for school year 2020-2021 unless otherwise the suspension of face-to-face classes is extended. So ito po kasing ating guidelines ngayon ay naka-base po ito sa face-to-face classes. Alright. So kapag nagkaroon na tayo ng blended learning or limited face-to-face classes for the next school year, so syempre mababago po ito, Unless kapag nagpatuloy yung ating face-to-face classes dahil sa ating sitwasyon ngayon, there is a possibility na ito pa rin po yung gagamitin nating guidelines. But for the meantime, these guidelines is only applicable for this school year. What is the age to be recorded in SF1? Alright, so ano raw dapat yung edad na ilalagay natin sa ating SF1? Okay, or sa ating school form 1. The age to be recorded in the form is the learner's age by October 31, 2020. Okay, so ito po yung magiging basihan natin mga kamaestro yung October 31, 2020 na date, na birthday. Alright, so for example, si learner, ang kanyang birthday is October 30, turning 6 years old. So ilalagay natin sa SF1, 6 years old. Pero kung turning 6 years old siya by November 1, so hindi siya umabot sa October 31, so siya ay considered as 5 years old. So sa SF1, ang ilalagay natin is 5 years old kasi ang birthday niya is November 1 na siya, after October 31 na. So malinaw po yun, October 31. Next, do I need to backtrack my record of attendance of learners and revise my SF2 for the first and second quarters? No. The SF2 that are already prepared by teachers for the first 2 quarters should be adopted without any further modification. The adoption of LACT is only applicable and should only be used for the 3rd and 4th quarters of school year 2020-2021. However, for those who did not prepare SF2 prior to the issuance of LACT guidelines, teachers may adopt the LACT guidelines in the preparation of the SF2 for those reporting months. Alright, kasi meron po kasi sa mga hindi pa nakakaalam, meron pong tool na ginawa si DepEd dahil nga tayo ay wala sa face-to-face, so mahirapan tayong mag-check ng attendance, hindi unlike pag nasa face-to-face tayo, pag nandiyan si bata, present, pag wala si bata, so absent, di ba? But this time, tayo ay nasa distance learning, so how can we identify if the pupils or the students are present or absent? So the DepEd, our department, designed a tool which is LACT, or the Learner Attendance or the Learning Attendance Conversion Tool. Yan po yung LACT. So we have 3 types of LACT. So you have the LACT 1, which is applicable only for online, and we have LAC 2, which is applicable for both online and modular, and we have the LAC 3, which is applicable only for modular. So mamaya malalaman natin ano ba yung mga pinagkaiba nila. Alright, basta yan, we have 3 type of LAC na pwede nating pagpilian. Pero sabi dito, kapag tayo daw ay nakagawa na ng attendance for the first and second quarter, okay lang. Disregard natin yung LAC, no? So, third quarter at fourth quarter, doon natin gagamitin si LAC para sa SF2. Pero, kapag hindi pa tayo tapos ng ating SF2 for the first and second quarter, we can use the LAC guidelines for accomplishing the SF2 for first and second quarter. What is the reporting cut-off date for enrollment count? So, ano raw po yung i-report natin na bilang ng ating mag-aaral sa ating section or sa ating klase? The reporting cut-off date for enrollment count is as of October 9, 2020. So, kung ilan yung bata na pumasok po ninyo on or before October 9, 2020, yun po yung i-report ninyo na actual enrollment ng iyong klase. Who will choose the applicable LAC? O yan, yun po yung pinatalakay natin kanina, yung ating bagong tool na gagamitin sa pag-check ng ating attendance. Sino raw po yung pipili ng applicable LAC? Kasi mayroon tayong LAC 1, LAC 2, and LAC 3. Alright. Teachers or the advisors have the freedom to choose the applicable LAC in checking the learner's attendance. Okay? You may refer to Annex 2 of the memorandum for the list of LACs that can be used. So, si teacher or si advisor po ang may freedom, no? Siya po ay ang may kakalayaan na pumili kung anong LAC ang gagamitin niya sa kanyang klase. Which LAC should I choose? So, halimbawa, ikaw si teacher, ano ba yung pipiliin ko na guidelines sa pag-check ng aking attendance? Ano ba yung pipiliin ko sa tatlo na yon? It depends on your adapted distance learning modality. Yan, no? So, nabanggit ko na rin siya kanina, no? Paulit-ulit ko na siyang sinasabi, nakadepende sa iyong distance learning modality. Kapag ikaw ay online, pwede ka sa LAC 1, pwede ka sa LAC 2. Kapag ikaw naman ay modular, pwede ka sa LAC 2 at pwede ka sa LAC 3. Alright. Can I use different LAC in my class? So, pwede raw po ba akong gumamit ng LAC 1 or ng LAC 2 sa aking klase? Hindi lang iisa ang pipiliin ko. Pwede kaya yon? Yes, so pwede. As long as the chosen LAC is applicable to your class. Refer to Annex 2 of the memorandum to which LAC can be applied to your class. So, halimbawa, ako ay online distance learning, ako ay online teacher, pwede akong pumili ng LAC 1 at saka LAC 2 ng magkapareho or magkasabay. Okay? Kapag ako naman ay modular distance learning teacher, pwede akong pumili or pwede kong piliin ang LAC 2 at saka ang LAC 3 ng pareho or magkasabay sa aking klase. So, malinaw po yun. We can use different of LACs in a class. Next, is it possible that for one section, each learner has different LAC? Ito naman po ay kung pwede raw sa isang section na yung learner ay magkaroon ng iba-ibang mga LAC na gagamitin ka sa pag-check ng attendance. Halimbawa, si Pedro ay LAC 1, si Juan ay LAC 2. Pwede kaya yon? Yes, learners in one section may have different LACs. Okay? So, depende po sa inyo. You have your choice. Okay? Sabi ko kanina, pwedeng si Juan, ang ginamit mong tool ay LAC 1 or basihan, and then kay Pedro naman, ang ginamit mo naman is LAC 2, pero pareho sila online learning or online pupil. Okay? Or, kapag ka modular distance learning teacher ka naman, pwedeng si Juan ay LAC 2, pwedeng si Pedro naman ay LAC 3. Okay? Pero pareho silang modular distance learning. Okay? Next, what if there are multiple modalities being held in a section or a class? Does the teacher need to prepare separate SF2 for each modality? Ito po ay applicable lalo na sa mga small school na minsan sa isang klase, merong 5 estudyante online, meron namang 5 or 10 is modular. No? Kasi isang section lang sila, kailangan nating pagsamahin or isang teacher lang dapat ang umawak nung modality na yun, kahit dalawang modality. So, pwede po yung mangyari. Okay? So, kailangan ba ni teacher na mag-prepare ng dalawang SF2? Isang SF2 for the online and then isang SF2 for the modular? If this is the most convenient and useful to the class advisors, he or she may do so. So malinaw po yun mga ka-maestro. Kung ikaw ay isang teacher na humahawa ka ng dalawang modality sa isang klase, pwede ka pong gumawa ng isang SF2 para sa online class and then isang SF2 naman para sa modular class. Pero kung gusto mo naman, ito yung convenient para sa'yo, pagsamasamahin mo na sila sa isang SF2, wala rin problema. Pwede rin po yun. Okay? So, malinaw po yun. Next. In LACT 1, is the student considered present if he or she is only be able to enter the online learning platform and attend the class for a few minutes due to internet connectivity issues? So, ang scenario po, nag-attend ng online class si bata or si learner, then, because of internet connectivity issues, bigla siyang nawala. Kunyari, mga 2 minutes, 3 minutes pa lang siya sa klase, nawala na siya. Is he considered or she considered present? Yes. As long as there is communication made by the learner, parent, guardian to the teacher that the learner is having internet connectivity issues. So, present pa rin po siya mga ka-maestro. Halimbawa, bigla siyang nawala and then, few minutes, nag-text siya sa'yo or nag-message siya sa'yo, Sir or Ma'am, excuse me for the class because I have some problem in my internet connection. So, pwede po yun. Present siya. Kasi nagpaalam siya. Alright? Pero kung talagang bigla lang siyang nawala, wala man lang pasabi si parent, wala man lang pasabi si bata, so pwede natin siyang bigyan ng absent. LACT 2. Should a learner still be considered present even in the delayed or non-submission of modules? So, madalas pong nangyayari ito sa mga modular distance learning na klase. No, yung mga late mag-submit ng module and then minsan hindi nakakapag-submit ng module in the due time. Okay? Due date na, wala pa rin yung module. Present ba siya o hindi? Yes. So, still present as long as there is a communication made between the parent, guardian, or the learner in the teacher. So, for example, si Juan, no? Si Juan, hindi siya nakapag-submit ng module this week. Pero nagpaalam naman siya sa teacher. So, present pa rin siya kasi nagpaalam siya. Hindi natin siya pwedeng lagyan ng absent. Okay? So, for example, Ma'am, pwede ba next week na po ako mag-submit ng module? So, consideration pa rin po yun. So, we are going to mark him or her as present because nagpaalam siya, meron siyang communication sa parent or meron communication si parent at si learner sa teacher. Okay? Pwedeng sa text, pwedeng kahit anong platform pwede. Basta nagpaalam sila. Okay? So, present pa rin sila. Next, how can we record the attendance of learners using the 6-day class schedule if the SF2 is only designed for a 5 class day schedule? So, tama nga naman, di ba? Yung ating template para sa ating SF2 is good only for 5 days. Okay? DepEd ICTS is in the process of updating our school forms in the LIS, but feel free to manually edit the school form on your own for now to follow the prescribed guidelines of the DepEd Memorandum Number 13 Series of 2021. Okay. So, wala pa kasi siya sa LIS mga ka-maestro. But, our DepEd ICTS staff are doing their task na ma-accomplish yun or matapos yun kasi ito po ay automatic sa LIS natin ma-download. No? But, if you are already starting to accomplish the school forms, you can edit the old template. No, gayahin po natin kung ano yung nasa guidelines, pwede natin siyang i-edit while we are waiting for the update sa ating LIS. Alright, next question. When should a student be dropped out of class? Teachers are highly encouraged to exercise due consideration and reach out to learners. A learner can only be considered dropped out or no longer participating in learning activities or NLPA if he or she and his or her parent voluntarily withdraw from schooling or if she incurs 7 weeks of non-attendance in his/her online classes and or non-submission of modules activity sheets without any communication, contact efforts being made by the learners or parents, guardian with the teacher. So malinaw dito ka maestro, no? Na kailangan i-drop lang natin yung bata kung ginawa na natin lahat ng ating makakaya para sila ay kausap or sila ay makumbinse na ipagpatuloy ang kanilang pag-aaral. Alright, halimbawa, nakipag-communicate ka na, kinontak mo na yung mga contact numbers na binigay niya, di ba? Or, pwede naman kung hindi stricto sa inyong lugar or medyo nasa low risk area na kayo, pinuntahan mo na sa bahay, no? And then talagang wala silang response. So, that's the time na i-drop out na natin siya. Magagawa pa naman natin yung paraan para sila ay mapabalik sa klase. So, let's us give them a chance para makatapos ng pag-aaral ngayong school year, no? So, basta gawin natin lahat ng efforts para sila ay mapapasok pa rin, no? For this school year. Pero talagang lahat ng paraan, as in lahat ng paraan ginawa mo na, so pwede natin silang i-drop out, no? Okay. What communication efforts are considered valid as form of attendance in or communication? Contact communication efforts may vary depending on the distance learning modality and may include but not limited to electronic digital communication, using of designated drop pick-up kiosk, middleman or for printed modules, phone calls, text messaging, handheld CB radio, letter correspondence, or attending classes, meetings, and or physical appearance of parent, guardian, and advisor within the parameter of the existing local national health and safety protocols of IATF or COVID-19. So ito po yung mga ways, no, para makapag-communicate or makontak natin sila para makonsider sila as present para sa kanilang attendance. Okay? Do I still need to accomplish the SF3? So yung SF3, kung maalala po ninyo, ito po yung ating sa mga books, no? Books returned. If there is an existing form of electronic printed being used to monitor the distribution of learning modules, there is no need to make another recording of the same data in the SF3. Kung meron na kayong mga checklist, no, regarding sa retrieval and distribution of modules and answer sheets, no, activity sheets, no need na po na i-accomplish natin yung ating SF3 or no need nang ilipat pa yon doon sa ating SF3. Okay, so malinaw po yan. Are there any amendments to SF7? Okay, ano po ba yung SF7? Ito yung ating school personnel assignment list and basic profile. So para po ito sa mga teachers, no, yung ating basic profile. None. The same form shall be accomplished for school year 2020-2021. So wala pong pagbabago sa ating SF7. How can I update SF8 if I am not able to meet the learners in person to measure their BMI, o ito yung ating body mass index? So paano nga ba? Hindi naman natin nakikita yung mga bata. SF8 is not mandatory. So malinaw po dito mga maestro, SF8 is not mandatory, but parents or guardians may administer the actual measurement or actual measuring of weight and height, body mass index, and just submit a reading result to the class advisors. So para lamang po ito sa may mga kakayahan na magsukat ng kanilang weight and height ng kanilang mga anak. Pero kung wala talaga silang means, hindi nila alam, no, nahirapan sila, so hindi sila kailangan i-required. Kasi nga, SF8 is not mandatory. Alright, pero kung magagawa natin ng paraan, no, kung yung mga magulang naman natin ay marunong, o may mga gamit sila sa bahay, so mas maganda. Okay? Am I required to update the SF8? Generally, no. Okay, so malinaw po yun. The BMI feature in LIS is temporarily relaxed and does not require users to update BMI data. So, pwede po natin i-finalize yung ating LIS kahit hindi natin na-update yung ating SF8 sa ating LIS. Okay? So, however, for those grade levels in elementary that are beneficiary of health and nutrition support programs, the BMI data may be deemed relevant. So, ito po yung mga kasama sa mga feeding program, no? Yung ating school-based feeding program na kung saan kailangan syempre ma-monitor yung height and weight ng bata, no, para sa kanilang BMI. So, the teachers are highly encouraged to collect the BMI data provided that the health and safety protocols are being observed. So, kailangan pa rin po makolekta yung mga data for those pupils or students na kasama sa mga school-based feeding program. What if I already filled out the portions of core values and character traits in SF9? Ito po yung sa mga report card. Do I still need to revise or redo it? The answer is no. You can leave the filled out core values and character traits as is. So no need na po natin siyang palitan kung nakapag-fill out na po tayo doon sa ating character traits and core values. What or where can we get a copy of the revised school forms? DepEd ICTS is in the process of revising and updating the school forms. Please wait for the forms to be uploaded in the LIS. Nevertheless, you can manually edit the forms based on the prescribed guidelines as you wish. So nabanggit na po siya natin kanina sa mas naunang tanong, no, na ang ating DepEd ICTS is in the process of revising and updating the school forms sa ating LIS. So as of now, ang makikita nyo po doon is yung ating old template pa. But for the meantime, sabi ko kanina, kung kayo po ay gumagawa na ng mga ibang school forms, you can download that and you can manually edit the forms para mayroon kayong magamit. Alright? Is the internal division level checking of school forms allowed? Okay. Pwede bang mag-check yung mga taga-division level natin? So para na po ito dun sa ating, di ba, dati mayroon tayong DCC or yung Division Checking Committee na mag-check ng ating mga school forms, no, during the reading of forms. No. The annual checking of school forms shall only be done at the school level by the School Checking Committee. So malinaw dito ka maestro ha, hindi na po pupunta yung ating mga kasamahan sa ating division office, sa ating SDO, para mag-conduct ng division checking of forms. So, we only have the school checking of forms which will be conducted by the School Checking Committee or the SCC. Mostly is composed of the master teacher, the ICT coordinator, and then the guidance teacher and the school head. So, yun lamang po yung mag-check ng ating mga school forms. Is the result of the checking of forms conducted by the School Checking Committee valid and final? Yes. It can also be used by the school to complete its submission in LIS. Alright, so before kasi, if you still remember, bago tayo makapag-finalize ng ating LIS, kailangan tayo ay approve ng ating Division Checking Committee. Kailangan wala ng problema. Lahat ng mga papers, lahat ng mga documents ng bata, kailangan ay areglado na. But this time, because of the pandemic, because of the distance learning, School Checking Committee lang po. Once na-approve na po yan ng ating School Checking Committee, pwede na po tayo mag-finalize ng ating LIS. But, reminder ka maestro, before nating i-finalize ang ating LIS, make sure na lahat ng data ay na-correct natin. Kasi, anumang pagkakamali doon, mayroon man tayong mga pagkukulang or mayroon man tayong mga pagkakamali, ito po ay pananagutan ng SCC or the School Checking Committee. So, para iwas error po tayo, para mas accurate yung ating data, kailangan before natin siyang i-finalize, okay, sa checking of form pa lang, ay ayusin na po natin. Kahit wala tayong division checking of forms. Kasi tandaan, nakalagay po sa memo, ito po ay pananagutan, anumang mga error sa checking, anumang mga problema sa data ng bata, ito po ay pananagutan ng school head, at ng school checking committee. Alright? So, dito na po nagtatapos ang ating talakayan sa araw na ito. Sana po ay may mga nakuha kayong impormasyon. Maraming salamat po muli. Once again, El Maestro. See you on my next vlog. Bye-bye!